You're just going to come to the floor for the sequence. You'll want your Theraband with the bunny ears and also a bolster. Any bolster will do. I just want you elevated a little bit off the floor. So find yourselves a comfortable seat on your bolster. I'm going to turn a little sideways to you. You might want to have your legs crossed. You could also be kneeling with the bolster in between your legs. Either is fine. And if you'd like to be higher up than this, stack yourselves up. And we'll just take the hands up to the front of ourselves. Push your palms forward and pull your fingers back until you feel an awareness moving through the bottom skin of your arms. And protract your chin a few times. See if you feel that anywhere going down to your fingers. And slowly begin to rotate the hands in and out. So this isn't specifically a nerve floss, but it has that aspect of just experimenting with different angles to see what weird connections we might find between positions of our hands and where our shoulders feel like they have impingements, or where our neck maybe tells us it needs a crack or an adjustment. And then bend your elbows, slowly wipe your arms out to the side like you are a winged beast. Stretch out, retract your scapula, pull them together, squeeze back, and then round them forwards. This is the piece where we add a little drama. So make this yours. You know, whether it's drag queen or swan lake, I'm sure you can find an image that works for strength as well as almost exaggeration. Anywhere it feels like your wrists need a stretch or your elbows need a stretch, do that. Get fancy. You have one more. And then rest. You can shake your hands out for a moment. Bring your hands down to your knees. Take stock of your bodies now. Mental, emotional, physical, and spiritual. I think like challenge, boundaries, gratification, letting pieces of yourself feel seen are all equally important benefits of exercise, along with challenging our muscles and our balance. There's emotional aspects that feed into a sense of balance and strength in our bodies. And then we'll just take the band back behind our back. So I can put it in my hands. I'm not going to overly describe how I loop it. You'll figure it out. And then bring it behind you. You do want to get the loop so that it's in front of yourself. And that the band itself is underneath your arms. So if I have my hands straight here, it's a straight line of the band going all the way behind me. And then just flex your hands. And let's move our ribs back. And then just move the ribs forward. So it's like the band pulls them forward and you can feel the scapula move together in your back. And keep on doing that and find different rotations of your hands. And then rest. And we'll just take the band down a little bit. You can move your ribs with it. And then bring it up. And feel how raising your arms up helps the ribs to move up and down as well now. Twice more. And if you or any clients have shoulder issues, what's really cool about this is that they're actually able to raise their arms higher than they would without the band. Open the arms out the side. Release the hands down. The band can drop around your waist. And just do a couple of head rolls side to side. Getting a sense of being very broad in the shoulders. Noting that your scapula are also wide. Bring the band back up. Push the hands forward and nod your chin down and up. See if you can find a stretch from where the band is behind your ribs all the way through the skull. And then we'll add some thoracic movements. So round, bring your hands down, round your ribs back as you go down. And then take the ribs up, take the head back, take the arms up as you go back. And notice that if you push into the band, it lifts you up off your hips. So you can get more of a comfortable stretch back without feeling like you might fall. One more. Open the arms up, out, and down. Let's bring them behind ourselves. Just wrap the hands a couple of times so we can get a stretch behind us. Push the arms behind you. So we're trying to raise them up as our heads down. And then lift yourself up and pull your chest up and try to push your arms out. And if you need more space, go ahead. It doesn't have to be massive flexibility. I dropped an AirPod there. It doesn't have to be about massive flexibility. It's just that cathartic burst of opening through the upper ribs. And you can fly your hands here. And then again, dive, round. And then stretching up. A little flapping behind yourself. And come around. Okay, we're going to come off of the bolster for a second. This one's pretty cool. So let's just look at creating some pelvic mobility by walking. So you can take your hands forward. Actually, we'll just give it like a little walk like this. And just walk your feet back and forth. Just going to walk your hips back and forth, which is also creating a fair amount of hip mobility. And if we're looking at the asymmetry of moving one leg or the other, this is the place where you can begin to see if you take more weight on one side versus the other, or if your legs are mobilizing differently for you. And I'd like to do this again, but I want you to push your hands into the ground. So just hang on a second, bend your knees, try to pull your heels into yourself until you connect the whole back of your leg. And now take more of a forceful walk forward and back and see if that feels different to the back of your legs or to the lateral edge of your legs. And then back. And then we'll take the arms forward. And I'd like you to take 4 forward bends here. Pressing your arms out and then coming up. If that's a lot for you, because adding the arms out away from the hips does add a little load, it's not a lot, you can always do it with your hands here. But what I like about the arms extended stretch is that it does stretch all the way down to the lat fascia. So you get that stretch towards the V of your sacrum. Okay, just sit back. Turn your legs out and in for a second. Bang the hamstrings against the ground. Now let's use our band cue and just feel a difference. So take it behind yourself, like we have been. And this time for me, I'm going to hold around the knots. I'm going to push forward so I have a little more resistance for my own body. You do you. Press out. And take your walk forward and back. And do you feel a different level of smoothness and ease? That the upper body is kind of lifted over the hips. That you're able to articulate that separation of the pelvis even more. And then come back. And then once you're back, take 4 forward bends. Notice the different range. Okay, rest your arms for a second. It is shoulder work, and that is a good thing. I'm going to slip my hands through the bunny loops for the next one. I'm going to do a little bit of a twist. So, sitting with your legs parallel. If you have a hard time doing this on the floor, of course you can always sit up on something. It'll pitch you forward a bit, but it's equally good. Press your arms out, stretch out. Then bring the arms up. You can wrap your elbows around the band to keep it from slipping. And then you're going to rotate to the right and let your right knee bend. Pull the knee into the body and straighten and bend that right leg a few times. Continuing to press your arms out into the band to lift yourself up so you get more abdominal work. And then come back up Stretch the legs. We'll go to the other side. Push out with the left knee bend and then turn that into some good work. And then come back up. All right, taking a walk in a circle. See how you pull off of one hip and push out the other, go all the way around a circle, and then change sides. And your legs can also open and close a bit. At some point, you can reassure your body your arms will not fall off and do the other side. Notice how it feels different on one side versus the other. And try not to just circle your legs around yourself, but actually take your butt in a little circle too. Okay. Rest the arms, shake the hands out, turn the top of the hands down to the floor. Lean back enough that you have a helpful level of pressure on them. And just move your chest up and down. And then stretch your hands in different ways. Notice the softness and the fluidity in your upper body now. And then come up. So take the band back around your arms. You're going to put your hands on the floor this time, which is going to make life easier because you don't have to hold it up against gravity. And then bring yourself into quadruped. Slide the band so that the knot is underneath your wrists. That way your hands can pin it down when it's on the floor. And we're going to round our back into the band and stretch back. Take that tension forward and then slacken the tension. Let the band pull your ribs towards the heels of your palms and then sit back. Enjoy the stretch and keep connecting the underside of your arms with the band. Notice the additional length you're getting in your lumbar spine. 3 more times doing that. Take one leg behind yourself. Same thing. Let the legs slide like a rudder. Like your toes can get a massage on the carpet. And allow this shape to help you think about spinning the hip of the extended leg down the carpet. Another way of creating that feeling is to have the baby toe reaching out on the floor. Change sides. If you're on a wooden floor, you might want to use a towel or something. If your floor is sticky, do something to let yourself slide. Other side. Extend the left leg, round into it. And then 4 times pulsing your upper body back and forth, dragging the leg and letting the additional length help you cue your hip down towards the ground. Or at least so the hips are parallel. Come up. Just take a walk around. Push your hands forward and take a walk around, carrying yourselves around, feeling the weightlessness in your hips as you move this way. Now, this is just a fun thing that I want you to try. So take it off. You can drop on the floor or put over your shoulder like a shawl or whatever. Take your arms up the side and just go ahead and raise one leg up as far as you can. Give yourself a couple of twists. Feel that level of mobility. Other side. Your two sides will be different because we are different. Just good to notice the differences. And now let's put the band back on. So we're pushing lightly into our hands and also into the back of the ribs. And we have that subtle sense of lift, and also the engaging of the arms helps to engage the upper abdominals. And again, lift one leg. Take twist. And come down. So do you feel the different level of agency in your hips and the control you have in your upper body? So we have increased muscular activation. We have increased proprioception. We have increased range of motion somehow, just with this simple little feedback cue. Other side. And then release. Shake it out. If your quads and your hamstrings are feeling it, good job. You're doing good work. One last thing here. We'll just play with the ELDOA Hip Flexor stretch. I'll move my dog's toy out of the way. Okay. So down to the ground. So this is a 1990 kneeling position. If you need padding for the back knee, you go right ahead and get it. You can fold the yoga mat in half, do what you will. My back toes are down. I like it that way. If you need to tuck your toes under, you are welcome to do so. We're going to push the hands forward. We're going to press into them and feel how that lifts our body up. And then we're going to connect the left hip, the left rib. So we're going to shorten that distance just a little bit, which helps to even out the pelvis. From there, I'm going to push down with my left knee and shin and down with my right foot. And then I'm going to start to push my hands forward, my head up and my tail down. And I'm just going to breathe. I'm going to start to feel the warmth through the inside of my left hip. We're not trying to arch our back. We're not trying to go forward yet. But now I want you to start to push your pubic bone forward and actually round your back a little more. And 4 times, just send the pubic bone forward and the heels, the palms forward. And then inhale, reach them away from each other, lengthen the spine. Keep pushing your back shin down. Release. That's all. Release the band, stand up. Just for compare and contrast, I'd like you to actually stand up and circle your hips and move around and feel the level of agency inside the left hip versus the right. You can try balances, you can try twists. It's noticeable everywhere. There's also a smoothness inside the socket. And then we'll do the other side. So going through that side again, every point is important. It's like all of the pins in that key need to be in the right space to open the lock. So just going through these points again. We'll get the band on first. This time my right leg is behind me. The toes can be tucked or underneath. Either is fine. I'm going to push my hands forward. I'm really going to actively push the heels of the palms out. And I'm going to try to bring my ribs into my back. Then I'm going to shorten the distance between my right hip and my right ribs, which brings the left sit bone in line with the right. So we're not trying to exaggerate, but we are trying to even out the pelvis. Usually we tend to do that by dropping the hip on the side that's bent, but it's much more effective to connect the external obliques on the side that's elongated. And then you start to push your right knee and your right shin down and drive the left heel down to the floor until you feel that warmth on the inside of the hip. Push your head up, push your hands out. Let's take 4 breaths, just holding the stillness and letting the intensity increase inside. Every time you find the ability to do more, you do it. And then 4 times, we're going to slide the pubic bone and the hands forward. Inhale, lengthen. Micro adjustments to stay inside the hip and create more agency. Inhale, release. Shake it out. That concludes the floor portion of class. I hope you found some cues that you can use for yourselves and your people within this. I hope the lights are going on all over your minds.